Hello and welcome to what is not another episode of the Preconceived podcast, but just some thoughts that I had that really I felt did go along with our concept here and really what we're trying to promote on the Preconceived podcast, which is our thoughts, which is the way that we process situations around us. Today I learned about the Gillette commercial that is gaining a lot of attention on the news, on social media. I just looked it up on YouTube so I could watch it again. I think that it has 444,000 likes and something like 800 plus thousand dislikes, which is pretty interesting to me. If you know me very well, don't tend to get too political. I do have my specific beliefs that I believe in and things that I do vote for based off of those. But in watching this commercial, I find it very interesting and maybe very telling on where our nation is right now that we would be so quick to bash a commercial that is only promoting the very basic ideas of who a man should be. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't political backings to this, and I'm not saying that that wasn't the intent. But what I'm saying is for us to get so up in arms about a commercial saying that men should be men, that they should be a good role model to their kids, that they should be leaders in our society, I think is pretty crazy to attack something like this. And that's really the issue, really, when it comes down to it for me, when it comes to politics in a lot of ways. Because I feel like a lot of times we draw battle lines and whatever it is that we're for, and whatever we're absolutely against in the terms of whatever our political party or affiliation goes after. And I believe that we need to be willing to think for ourselves, be willing to make decisions, to be willing to look at why are we acting the way or reacting the way that we're actually acting. Now, I reserve the right to be wrong in this. But I just felt like it was important for us to take a step back as a country to be able to look at situations on a case-by-case basis. To understand that really and truthfully speaking, we all should be pushing forward towards something better than what we're doing right now. That we should be pushing towards an America where we really do see values, the values that this country was built on, being put forward. Now, I'm not going to bash any movements out there, but I will say that I know that a lot of this is about the metoo movement. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that a lot of times these movements start off in really good places and have a tendency to get a little bit extreme. But I also feel like at the end of the day that we should be looking from the perspective of those who are being affected negatively. And whether it's women, whether it's racial minorities, whatever it might be, that we need to be looking at it from a point of view of how God sees them. And to be willing to understand that even if these perceived wrongs or slights against them, even if they are not correct, and I'm not saying they aren't, but even if they weren't, that we should be willing to look at where they're coming from, to look at the hurts that they may be experiencing that are causing them to stand up and to say something about it. We need to be looking at this from a perspective of how God sees it, not how our emotions are telling us to feel about it, not how our affiliations to the Republican or the Democratic or the independent parties are telling us on how to feel and to think about it, but we need to be choosing to see it from a higher perspective. And we need to look at our thoughts based around it and say, you know what, I'm going to choose to think on a higher level and not to lower myself based on what anybody else thinks. What I'm not saying is that we should go against our convictions or that we shouldn't stand for what we believe in, because I think that that's incredibly important. And our convictions and the things that we truly do believe, those should be the things that we stand up for. But what my concern is, and what I'm actually getting at, is that I believe that we need to be very aware of what we're portraying to the world around us. I think it sends very mixed signals for us to be fighting against something that's actually truthful just because we don't agree with the source of it. I think that it sends mixed signals to the people who are being affected by this, and all that it serves to do is to make a bigger division between different parties and between different people groups. And that is not what we should be doing. It doesn't mean that we should be promoting things that we don't believe in, but being able to have the ability to see them as children of God is very, very important and something that we need to be very aware of. So that's just a few of my thoughts on this. I'd be interested to see what you have to say below. If you want to leave a comment, if it's on Facebook, Instagram, if it's on iTunes, whatever it might be, we're in a few different places now. Even just here on YouTube, I'd love to see and hear what you're thinking about it. So agree with me, disagree with me, but I'd like to hear what you think. Have a great week.